I want to ask what you think about this step. You know,
it's a pleasure to be with you.
Previously, the Commission had floated a €2 trillion plan that had in it, I think, about 320 billion euros of budget borrowing that would then be given as grants or loans. This is 500 billion euros of budget borrowing that will be given out as grants. Is it a more progressive step in your opinion?
I find it's a very good step. It's very good. It's very strong that France and Germany comes together, and to do that at this timing, because it's important that we recover fast and that we recover strong. The thing is, of course, that this is one step, and there are 27 members that has to come together. So, of course, I hope that others will be included in the conversation about how to make a European recovery, because we will recover stronger if we do that together.
Good morning to you, Commissioner. Are you confident that countries that have maybe been less keen in the past, the Netherlands, maybe even Denmark, will say yes to this kind of plan?
Well, I don't think that you can just expect that people say yes, of course. This is a union of mutual respect and involvement. So, of course, it's very important that other members, the rest of the members of the union, are as involved. Also on substance, because the important thing is, of course, that now, while we pursue our strategic goals of greening the European continent and using digital technology as far as possible, that all member states are on board also on the substance of this plan.
Are you, it could look like Germany is now agreeing to go along with a shared debt plan in order to take some of the focus away from its own state aid. We've gotten complaints, for example, from Michael O'Leary, who's been whose voices complaints very often about the state aid, for example, to Lufthansa. Are you worried about the maybe anti-competitive nature of the amount of state aid that Germany is giving out to companies?
Well, the worry here is the unleveling of the playing field, because what Germany can do is completely justified. They cannot overcompensate. They do what is needed. But many other member states do not have the same opportunities, capabilities. And this is, of course, why it's so important to have a strong European approach as well. So what the individual member states can do, and Germany in particular, is being matched and complemented with what we do together. Because the European value chain, they are so integrated. That, of course, makes sure that also German state aid sort of make sure that the entire ecosystem benefits from it. But it also requires that we do something together, because otherwise we will not have the fast recovery that will save jobs as we would want to.
So this overnight fund, this fund that's got the support of Macron and Merkel, then, Commissioner, do you think that this will help to redress the balance as to which companies will be saved?
Well, I think it's a very important step, because if we can make a plan so that substance and funding complements each other, then we can push very far. And of the essence here is, of course, speed. Because now we see that from a problem of liquidity also comes problems of solvency. And when you open for recapitalization within each member state, well, of course, it is important that there is also a European response and that we get it fast. Because we should save valuable, well-driven, viable companies. There were so many of them before this crisis. They were not in trouble for any reasons, except, of course, for this very, very fundamental one, that we have had to lock down our societies and our economies because of the COVID-19. And I think it is important that we show all these businesses, all the people working there, people who have invested decades of their life in building a business, that there is a European response in order for them to be able to do what they want to do business.
it does have to be a viable concern, right? I mean, in the case of the airlines, Commissioner, is there another reason that you would allow states to fund these companies, even if they're not really viable ongoing concerns? I mean, is it fair for states like France to support Air France and allow it to sell tickets at loss-making prices for years in order to better compete?
Well, if a company is in difficulty, as we define it in our set of rules by the 1st of January, they're not eligible for sort of the vast amounts. They can get compensation for the damages that comes from the lockdown, and that, of course, we do our best to police. But there will be differences among airlines because member states have a different approach also within the rules. Sweden have made a scheme that benefits everyone registered in Sweden. Other member states have made more selective individual deals that sort of deal with the individual company, and that is fully justified. One of the things I think it's important to note in the deal that the French government made with Air France and that we could enable was that they made green conditionality for the funds going into the company. I find that to be very important, that member states, they follow up on their obligations and what they say about greening the European economy, but also doing that when taxpayers step in with a lot of funds for an individual company.
But, Commissioner, can I just ask, you know, state-backed airlines are constantly going bankrupt. This isn't a one-time pandemic-linked issue, and states constantly bail them out, not just in Europe, but in the U.S. as well. And of course, airlines can't really be green. They're the biggest polluters in the world. So is there another reason that you approve aid to these companies that don't make money and destroy, you know, the world in which we live?
Well, some of them, they do make money because you can make money, but it takes a lot of capital to be able to do that. And airlines can indeed be greener. They may not be as green as not flying, but they can be greener and greener. And of course, there is a trajectory to do that. It's likely that after the COVID-19 crisis, we will not fly as much as we did. But I still think that we will be flying. And I also think that there is a future where we'll say, well, this is the greenest possible way, and technology will keep helping us in making also flying a thing that we can do, also with a good green conscience.
Do you think then that there needs to be more conditionality, whether that's around climate change or something else, when it comes to the bailout of Lufthansa?
Well, from the Commission side, with the legal basis that we have, it's not for us to do that. But we encourage member states who are dealing with the company in question to say, well, of course, the fundamentals will have to be right. If taxpayers step in, they will have to be remunerated. At the same time, there must be an incentive for the state to step out again because of level playing field issues. So management should not get bonuses, shareholders should not get a dividend, no share buyback issues. But since there, of course, will be other companies who cannot be aided or who will not be aided, there is a point in saying, well, if you can, well, consider what would be the next steps in greening this company. And if you're a large company, also to report about what you do, not if you're a smaller company, because we don't want the red tape, but that you kind of take upon you this common strategic aim that we have, that we want to green the European continent.
Just briefly, Commissioner, do you think that more needs to be done to stop European businesses being bought by Chinese companies cheaper than they would previously have been after this crisis?
Yes, I think so. I think it's very important to be vigilant, that we're still assertive about what is our strategic interest. And I also think that it's important to strengthen the tool that we have for screening of foreign direct investment. Europe is indeed open for business, obviously, but people who come here should come here for the right reasons to do business, not to come in with subsidies from third countries or to just take technology out of the company that they acquire. So I think it is very important to be vigilant, especially in a situation where there may be sort of a staggered recovery, where some parts of the world recover faster than others.